Gary, what's the latest with Finn?
I think he's back visiting the doctor, I think. So we're still day to day and figuring out where he's at.
Upper body?
Yeah.
Clarification.
The adjustment period, having to deal with the guys that have been injured, what has that been like for this team over this last 3 weeks stretch, so to say?
It's always tough when you lose kids and they're not able to play, but on the other side of it, I think it provides opportunity to test our depth and see what else we have, on our team. And I think so far the guys have kind of that next player up mentality. The guys have played pretty well. So, I think that shows that we do have some depth and we're doing pretty well with it. And, hopefully we get our guys back and we're at full strength with a lot of depth.
How do you feel like Tyler Cortez has fit into that depth, especially with his performance recently on the second line?
I think he's been playing great. That nobody's worked harder than Tyler throughout his career here at Syracuse. He's after every single practice, he's been out trying to get better. He comes up to the office, asks questions all the time, wants to make sure he understands everything. I think he'd make an incredible coach after he's done playing here because he's worked so hard to understand and develop his game that I'm sure he could become a great coach and teach young players how to do it as well.
You got a team in Colgate coming to the Dome on Saturday that likes to score. Do you play into that style, or what do you kind of look at come Saturday?
I think we have to, play the way we need to depending on how we're playing and executing. We'll certainly take advantage of some transition. They 10-man ride, so they want you to go to the net and try and score because you're going to have open opportunities for that. And from there, you also at times, I'm sure you're going to want to settle the ball and give your defense a rest and give your middies a rest and sit on the ball for a little bit. So we'll play that. During the game, we'll make those type of decisions. But we'll be ready to do whatever we need.
Coach, going off of that, 10-man ride, how do you guys counteract that? And is there any sort of a difference in approach with it kind of being a quick turnaround after the Manhattan game?
I think there's a few teams that will 10-man ride, and we've certainly been practicing for it all year long. And, in our extended spring break there, we definitely worked on some 10-man stuff and things like that, just to make sure we're ready. I think you can't just leave it to the last second and hope you can figure it out. So we kind of work on things for the future all the time, and we had a bit of time during spring break to work on some fundamentals, and that was one of them.
Gary, how has Trey Beer been kind of building up to being that next man up when he had to step in for Finn and felt like he was ready to take on a bigger role here?
I think he's been great. He's got really good chemistry with the entire offense, and he's a good communicator, understands it. He's done a great job, and he's continuing to work on his finishing, and I think he's a great example of the next guy up that's really paid attention, really worked hard to try and get that starting type role, and now that he's got that opportunity, he does all the little things on top of it too, like hustle plays, rides really hard. He's done an unbelievable job on ground balls. He's got a really good sense of players and positioning on ground balls, and a lot of times he'll put the ball into space for other players or do whatever it takes to come up with the ball.
Have you seen this team's attention to detail kind of ramp up a little bit, knowing what's ahead of them with Colgate and then coming down the stretch here at the games that you have?
I think that's kind of one of our core values is attention to detail, because our coaches are excellent on both the offense, defense, goalies, face-offs, everything, and they truly focus on the details. So that just is passed along to the players, and isn't if they can't execute what the coaches are putting in, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So I think the players respond to the coaches and do a great job with it.
Coach, you won in such big fashion on Tuesday, a 16-goal win against Manhattan, and now you try to gear up right back into ranked play. What would be your biggest takeaways from Tuesday night's game that you guys can use in Southwest?
Tuesday night, it could have even been a bigger win for us. We talked a lot about we did a nice job executing but not finishing. So I'm sure guys are mentally preparing and out after practice, making sure that they shoot better the next game. So the takeaway is that it was nice to have someone to play after 10 days off. We got back out in the field and got after it, and we did what we needed to do, and now we move on to Colgate.
Coach, for kind of a full season of building off of that, the second half of the season is not easy. 2 non-conference games left against Colgate before now, and ACC play throughout just about all of April. What are some of the lessons that you guys as a team have kind of learned, mainly through the losses to Maryland and the Harvard games, that you can try and build on through this tough stretch?
We're just trying to put our players in a position to have success and make those plays. So we're trying to build their confidence. We're trying to make sure they understand what's happening and why. And then, we're hoping they're doing the work to make sure they can execute it at a high level and have success. So, practicing the shots they're going to get in a certain offense, whatever it takes. And I think, it's a work in progress all the time, and we work towards the end of the season. So I'm hoping our best lacrosse comes at the end of the season.
Not to single out anyone, but Joey and Owen are 1 and 2 points away from 200, and they're chased after a former teammate of yours. What would it mean to these guys to get 200 points and what their careers have been here at Syracuse, and still have a lot of lacrosse left in them?
You're talking to a guy that I just never really put a lot into points or records or things like that. So it's nice that they get there, but the only thing that really matters is championships and wins, and I guarantee that they would say the same thing, that it's really not a big deal. It's nice to hit it, that people would recognize you for it, but they would much rather walk away at the end of the year, not as a leading point scorer in history or anything like that, but as a national champion. So, we got a solid group of guys that understand what we're trying to do here.
Coach, you've been in this position before, latter stretches of the season, some tough competition, getting set for the postseason. As a coach, what do you tell your team to make sure that the pressure doesn't become too much for them, and just trying to keep morale high as best as possible?
Well, we're also been working with them a little bit this year. One of my goals was to work on, being able to execute under the pressure, so that when we get to those big time situations, that we play well. So, and it's a combination of, mental preparation, visualization, and practice. Those things all come together to build confidence, but also, dealing with in-game situations. You make a mistake, you make a couple mistakes. How do you change your mindset? So we're trying to give these players the tools to have success in the future, and they're going to grow. Just from the fact that they've been under this pressure last year, and they felt it, and they had some success, and then they didn't at other times, and you'll learn how to analyze the difference, what you did, how you did it, how you made sure you were ready, and that's all part of learning to win.
More questions?
Coach, going back to that next man up mentality, what do you and the coaching staff kind of look for in your players when deciding who that next man up will be?
The work is done in practice. The real work for the coaches, like, we look for consistency. We look for guys that can execute and make plays in practice on a day-to-day basis. So, there may be a guy that may be flashy or do it one way, but they may not as consistent. So, we analyze what we have on the field every day, and we make those decisions who gets the next opportunity.
Final question.
Coach, when you look at a guy like Sean Mullen, the year he's having, do you look at him as somebody who you kind of have to ride the momentum of going forward, especially entering this tough stretch?
We want him to do what he does, and that's get out there and battle, no matter who he's up against. Go out there and try and win faceoffs. And you know, some days it goes his way, and he goes I forget what it was, a little 12 for 13 or whatever, something like that. And other days it's 50-50. But I thought the Hopkins game, he did a great job of getting off to a tough start and coming back and dominating the second half. And that's a good lesson for him to develop mental toughness. You don't give up, you don't change everything you're doing. You dial it in, you tweak some things, and you figure out how to have success. And he's proven he can do that. So he's our guy. So you want to say we're going to ride him, because he is our best face-off guy, and we're looking for him to keep getting us the ball.